Mike's Daily Podcast.
Episode 1284. My name is Mike Matthews, broadcasting from Café Anyway, located somewhere in Podcastro Valley, Mont. We're back here at the last place on earth. Today, we hear from the Brewmaster, the Disgruntled Fiddle Player, Benita, and we bring you the segment called
Mike's Daily Podcast.
The Mike Tip. About some interesting... Oh, we got a new segment, too. We're going to throw in a new one.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
And I would like to dedicate this show to a guy named Pedro. He goes through a lot of crap, and did you know... He's on C-SPAN. His last name is Echevarria. I said that beautifully. Mama Ria.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
I just sang a little Brooks and Dunn. Actually, a song written by Daniel Moore. B.W. Stevenson had a hit with it. Hi.
Mike's
What?
Daily
It's another music reference.
Podcast.
With Mike.
Yeah!
No, Pedro Echevarria is on C-SPAN. And is it Echevarria? Pedro puts up with so much. You have got to watch C-SPAN weekday mornings. If you're on the Pacific Coast, on the West Coast side of America, watch them at 5 a.m. It is hilarious. Because somehow, I don't know, I never heard of this show. Washington Journal, I never heard of it. I didn't even know it existed. But apparently all these old people and people who never talk to anyone, whose kids never call them, so they got to pick up the phone because they watch news all the time and they're scared. And so they call, he does this thing called open phones. I guess they do it every morning. And they sometimes have this really beautiful woman on named, what's her name? Shoot, Greta. I can't remember now. But her first name's Greta. And I was having a conversation with someone at work he was saying, Mike, she's not that pretty. And I'm like, yeah, she's pretty. Isn't that a horrible, just shallow conversation to have? Greta Bronner. No, she's lovely. Greta Bronner is lovely on C-SPAN. So is Kelly Johnson on CSN. They wake you up in the mornings with their news reports on their... wonderful. Nutri-Savings. Okay, so I've just had... Look who just walked in. Hi, Mike. It's Benita the Rodeo Queen. How y'all doing?
Hey, it's a disgruntled fiddle player. Tell you what.
What?
You're really shallow, Mike, talking about people's looks and whatnot.
Some people say, is that the kind of, do you like that look? Is that the look you like? Some women like bald guys. I'm bald. Some women like their guys with hair. How about you, Benita? I like my guys with big cowboy hats on. Like the disgruntled fiddle player.
Yeah, that's why we're married.
Look who else just walked in.
Hello, Mike. I make the root beer. I'm the brewmaster. Oh boy, I have some delicious root beer.
Oh, wonderful. There it goes, being poured into my huge frosty root beer mug. Hey, so the Pedro gets these people calling in. Pedro! We dedicate this show to you, Pedro. He says he remains so cool, calm, and collected. And as does Greta, as does the other hosts. Because they get these people that call in that say every call is the most outlandish call. And you get the pro-Trumpers that are just, the media lies. The media said everything they say is a lie. Those kids on college campuses protesting, they're just full of pot. They're smoking the pot, they're shoving pot up their noses. I never talked to... And then he gets these people that call in. He goes, hi, you're on live on C-SPAN.
Hello?
Yeah, you're on live with C-SPAN.
Hello?
Yes, ma'am, you can talk now. And Pedro remains so nice, so calm and collected and cool. And he's talking to these people, just remaining, I bow down to you, Pedro. You are so good. I watched this morning as I got to work. I'm at work really early, and I had on C-SPAN, and I was blown away at the I could not do what he does, is what I'm trying to say, or what Greta does. At any rate. By the way, the only reason why I caught anything on CSN was because it was on the work television. I don't really watch sports, but that's what happened. We have a TV channel that the channel, you can't change the channel. Only the main engineer can change the channel, so you are locked into watching it. But other than that, I like my job, except for the fact that now I'm transitioning out of Obamacare into the company health plan, which has been everything but...
And here's today's podcast picture.
Everything rocky is what I'm trying to say. The podcast picture is not of rocks, though. It's of Huntsville, Alabama, where I lived at one time. 2009, that picture. There were some nice little... They had these nice little suburban... Oh, that's one thing. Suburbia. Alabama. Lawns, green, people mowing. People mow all the time in Alabama. They're mowing constantly because it rains and it's humid and the grass loves that and it grows and it's so green. But they're constantly mowing. And you get obsessed with mowing when you live in Alabama. But regardless, this was a nice little piece of suburbia, this little housing. I forget where this was exactly, but I know it was in Huntsville, Alabama. And I was listening to a lecture on C-SPAN. Yes, I like to listen to lectures. I like to broaden my mind, to educate myself. And yes, I guess I'm being very pro C-SPAN on today's show, but there is a podcast they let you download. They have from their lectures series. It's called the Lectures series, and in it, the lecturer was discussing suburbia. And after I listened to the lecture, I was thinking to myself, wow, that was really completely uninformative. Probably like this podcast. No, but seriously, this lecturer guy was talking about in the 50s, there were houses and people lived in them and they were all together. I'm doing my Jonathan Winters impression now when he used to do this voice. And people would live all in the... And then they had lawns, and then they would build these malls. And inside the mall would be these lamps like you were outside, but it was really inside. Okay, thank you for listening. Bye. That was his lecture. And I thought to myself, I could be a lecturer. This could be a lecture. Finally, my health plan. Oh, just to wrap up. I think I mentioned on a previous podcast that they had measured me completely wrong, my height. They said I was 5'9", and everyone I work with that I told I was 5'9", they were like, no, I'm 5'9", and I'm taller than them. So I went home and measured myself, got the ruler out, and did the mark on the wall and measured it, and they were off by like 4 inches, and I couldn't believe it. So I had to contact them, and then of course you got to do a ticket, and then you got to go through and you got to wait, and you got to hear back from them. The other thing is they have this deal called like Vitality or something, and you have to get points. If you get a certain amount of points, then they make it so that they take a huge discount off the premium that you pay for every month for your health care, because you still have to pay for health care even though it's company health care. And back in my day, you got it for free, but I guess that's not the case anymore. And so you have to be healthy enough through this Vitality website in order to get it for free. So to get enough points, you have to take tests that they have online. You have to watch videos. You have to give them you have to go to the place that checks your health and your height and all that, which they got wrong, and all this stuff. Well, then this other thing they offer is if you buy food that's healthy, you get points for that, right? So I'm thinking I'll get some points for that. No, that didn't work right either. So I had to email this completely and call this completely other division called NutriSavings. And they're like putting me through this complete bureaucratic email back and forth hell. Ugh! I wish I was back on Obamacare. But Pedro would have an answer for all this. Good old Pedro. I love the Pedro. Okay, here's the new segment. It's called
The Royal Trump Tweet Decree.
All right, so if you didn't know, Twitter has this guy named Donald Trump talking on it all the time. And he tweets out these things. Well, he hasn't tweeted out anything really controversial in the past 24 hours. His last thing was 14 hours ago, where he congratulated our new National Security Advisor, General H.R. McMaster. And then he's got a video that's linked to his Facebook. Because if you didn't know, our president also has a Facebook page. And then the President's Day one that he tweeted yesterday was all caps, Happy President's Day, Make America Great Again. But the tweets previous to that, you probably heard a lot about. The ones just before that had to do with Sweden. And he tweeted this: give the public a break. The fake news media is trying to say that large-scale immigration in Sweden is working out just beautifully. And then in all caps, not. 115,000 people liked that tweet. And then he said, actually before that, what my statement as to what's happening in Sweden was in reference to a story that was broadcast on at Fox News concerning immigrants and Sweden. Oh, he loves the Fox News. Well, apparently, according to the Washington Post, riots erupted in Sweden's capital just days after Trump's comment. So I guess tweets have an impact. Just 2 days after President Trump provoked widespread consternation by seeming to imply incorrectly that immigrants had penetrated the capital. And my computer just crashed. Thank you, crappy computer land. So that's the new segment called the Royal Rumps, whatever. Now let's go to this other segment called the Mic Tip. But before we do that, please help us out here at Mike'sDailyPodcast.com by going to the website, which is Mike'sDailyPodcast.com. Click on the Amazon link, buy whatever it is you're going to buy. That helps us out. You can also call in if you're an old C-SPAN caller that likes to call into C-SPAN, Washington Journal show, and give Pedro a hard time. You can call me too at 336-MM-DAILY. There's also the PayPal if you'd like to help us out that way. You'll get a special greeting from all the Café Anyway characters. Tell me, who do you think is the hottest news anchor on television? Are they on C-SPAN? Are they on CSN? Are they on at Fox News fake news? Who knows? Wherever you watch things, gather information from. Let me know. There's also links to all the social media that I am on, which outnumbers what our president is on, believe me. Believe me, it's the truth. It's tremendous. I'm on so much stuff, he can't even catch up to what I'm on. Hey, guy. Impeach that guy. And all that can be found at Mike'sDailyPodcast.com. Benita, have you been to any of that? Have you been to the website?
Yeah, Mark, it's a lot of fun, but I gotta go. Bye. Trump scares me.
Interestingly enough, Benita, not a Trump fan. Disgruntled Fiddle Player is. And now, a message from Donald Trump.
I would build a great wall, and nobody builds walls better than me, believe me. And I'll build them very inexpensively.
Why?
I know what's good and bad.
Okay. You know what, then? All that, Mike'sDailyPodcast.com. Oh, and finally, all the past podcast pictures, be they of Huntsville, Alabama, or of Basil the Boxer, or of cartoons that I've drawn, or of just Fairmont Ridge, because I seem to be there all the time. All that can be found at Mike'sDailyPodcast.com. And now the segment called
Yo, the Mike Tip.
Burger Master.
Well, one more thing about you, Mr. Trump, is
We had to make the move, and we decided to make the move.
no, you haven't moved. You're still at your Trump Tower. You're still there.
Wrong.
Okay, you're kind of in the White House, but you're also in Trump Tower.
Because you'd be in jail.
If I was at Trump, that makes no sense. Okay, New York Senator Chuck Schumer, according to The Guardian, has ramped up pressure on Donald Trump and the federal government to accept the mounting costs of protecting the president, the first family, and their extended entourage. Schumer, the Senate Democratic leader, inserted himself into the debate Sunday, saying it costs $500,000 a day for nearly, $500,000 a day for nearly 200 police officers to protect Trump Tower on Fifth Avenue in Manhattan, which houses the Trump family business headquarters and serves as the home for the First Lady, the lovely Melania Trump, and the couple's son, Barron, not Pedro, Barron. The senator estimated the cost could rise to as much as $183 million annually. Really? Wait, that doesn't work out, does it? Oh yeah, it does. That makes sense. I just did the math in my head. Makes total sense. Makes total sense, Donald.
Wrong.
Oh. At current estimates, even a 4-year Trump administration could be heading for $1 billion in taxpayer-borne costs, an 8-fold increase of the $97 million Judicial Watch, a conservative watchdog group, a conservative one, estimates it costs to protect Barack Obama over the 2 terms of his administration. Yes, it costs 8 times as much to protect this president versus the last one. So that last president was a lot cheaper. The estimated cost of guarding Trump Tower have varied from $1 million a day during a daily protest before the inauguration. So it's the protesters' fault. To around $100,000 for the First Lady and Barron. Barron's 10, by the way. They're staying in New York until at least the end of Barron's school year. Schumer urged Trump to include the costs in the federal budget, noting that New York City has only been reimbursed $7 million of the $35 million requested for the cost of protecting the tower for the period between Election Day and the inauguration. As we go outside of Café Anyway, where we bring you Mike's Daily Podcast somewhere in Podcastro Valley. Next show, it's Madame Rootabega, Valentino, and Bison Bentley. Enjoy your day. I just wanted to end the show by saying that. Enjoy your day.
Mike is awesome.
Vote for Pedro.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at Mike'sDailyPodcast.com. Email Mike now at Mike'sDailyPodcast@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye.